Hello everyone, and welcome to the Texas Balance of State Continuum of Care Board meeting for September. My clock shows 2 o'clock, so we will go ahead and get started. Today I think we will be spending a little over an hour on this meeting. I don't think we'll go the full 2 hours, but we do have some important items to discuss with you, and we hope we get some feedback from you. As always, please provide your feedback through the question function, the question tool on GoToMeetings toolbar, GoToWebinars toolbar rather. And if you need to speak up, raise your hand or write a note in to ask me to unmute you, and I will do that. We want your participation. So today we will, of course, start with introductions, and then we'll talk about CoC participation, and we have a lot of short updates to provide for you under that section. We'll go through that rather quickly, and then we will discuss the Texas Homeless Youth Count Implementer Project. And then I'll hand it off to Mary, and she will discuss the Representative Planning Group member selection and give us an update on where we are with that. She will do the same with the CoC board member selection process. We'll get an update, and we will be asking you to help us out with that over the next 3 weeks. Then we want to spend some time talking about the general membership meeting that will occur in October at our annual conference in Corpus Christi. So before we begin, I want to take a moment to honor the late Yogi Berra. He passed away this morning. Some of you may not know who he is, but I thought this quote was really good for a group like this. If you don't know where you're going, you might end up someplace else. So I think what I take from this is this group is trying to lead us to where we're going so we don't end up someplace else. This group will lead us to the path of ending homelessness, and that's where we need to go, not someplace else. Sorry, I had to say something. Yogi Berra is one of my favorite baseball players, so sorry for exposing you to that, but I thought that was a good quote. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with introductions. In our office today, I will be presenting on this webinar, and so will Mary Dodson. She'll be presenting a little later on in the agenda. And then we have several folks joining us in our conference room. They're having a little viewing party. And some of those folks may speak up, but as always, we have Craig Fierro, who is manning the control center and taking notes and just making this all run very smoothly. So we will go ahead and get to it. And I want to go over who has registered for this meeting. So we had a total of 36 people that registered for this meeting today. And here's a list. I know it's very small, but I will send it out so you can check to see if your name is on that list. If it's not, and more importantly, if your name is not on the list of attendees, you need to notify us and make sure that we do put it on that list if you did in fact attend. Those folks are spread all over the state, and how I like to show you every month, we do have a wide distribution of members and people joining us. So here is a list of some of the people who registered. Some of those people, most of those people are actually online right now, so we appreciate you participating. And we certainly appreciate those communities for their involvement in this Continuum of Care's work. So let me go ahead and get into CoC participation. And like I said, we have several short announcements to make under this section. But the one we should start with is the introduction of new Texas Homeless Network staff. We have a new staff member in our HMIS division. He is a HMIS support specialist, and his name is Benjamin Mahoney. and I want to give him a chance to say hello to you. So, Craig, would you mind unmuting your mic so he can say hello?
Hi, thanks, Eric. Like Eric said, my name is Benjamin Mahoney. If you need to contact me, that's the email, benjamin@thn.org. I've spent the past year teaching English in southern China, and before that worked for a software company called Blackbaud as a customer support analyst for the Razor's Edge software. I'm still in training, but I'm really excited to be a part of the THN team, and I'm excited to serve as a HMIS specialist. Thank you.
Thank you, Benjamin. It's great to have Benjamin on board. He will be talking to many of you who use HMIS over the next, well, several months, I'm sure. And we really are happy to have him, and we welcome him to the team. And we hope you welcome him to the continuum of care. So let me go ahead and check to see if there are any notes written in before I move to the next. Okay, the next section is a report on the H² event that occurred actually last week. So some folks from around the balance of state did join us. I know Ida in Lubbock joined us, and we had some folks from Beaumont, I believe, and some folks from other places, and if I'm forgetting that you were there, I am very sorry. But we did have good involvement from the balance of state continuum of care, and we had people from other parts of the state. And they came to Austin to work on this health and homelessness collaboration. So about 9 months ago, Texas Homeless Network learned of a potential opportunity for technical assistance through HUD. So we applied for that technical assistance, and that was technical assistance that was designed to help us better align our healthcare services and our services to people experiencing homelessness, so we can improve the access to the folks experiencing homelessness and increase the effective utilization of healthcare for people in this situation. And so we submitted that application, and we heard back a few months later that we actually had received funding for that. So for about 9 months, a little under 9 months, we've been planning this with a consultant through HUD for this technical assistance, and that consultant is Homebase. And then finally last week, we were able to get together. And some of you may have received this invite. And this was the invite to that session. But we had a group together. I think we had probably about 50 people in the room. And what we did is we heard from Homebase about what some other states are doing. We heard from some experts in the room about the things that are going on in Texas. And we started to draft a plan so that folks that are experiencing homelessness can more easily address or access this care and then address the issues that are affecting their livelihood and oftentimes having a great effect on their housing situation. So the primary idea behind this plan, and this plan is in the draft form, but we are going to work on it with you. We're going to get your input as well as input from other CoC members around the state. And the overall idea is that we will have a plan that supports and encourages the development of programs that help people experiencing homelessness to secure housing while providing them with the health care and social services that they need to get off the streets. We need this collaboration between healthcare systems and homeless service providers to effectively end homelessness and get help for these folks. So this is something that you will hear more and more about over the next few weeks and months. And I just want to show a picture of those who, it may not be able to be shown. Well, I'm sorry, I had a picture of the attendees and I wanted to recognize them, but for some reason it is not showing up. So, but if you did attend and participate, thank you for that. I think this will be an important plan moving forward, and again, we will share that with you. Okay, the next item are the new HMIS data standards. They were effective, or they will be effective October 1st. These data standards are right upon us, and Jesus wanted everyone to know, Jesus de Leon Serratos is the HMIS project manager. He wanted everyone to know that there are no drastic changes, but there are 9 data elements that were either added or updated. And earlier today, the HMIS department held a webinar for about 60 users, and where they went over the changes and showed users what they can expect. And I believe that was recorded, but if it wasn't, don't worry about it, because next Wednesday on September 30th at 1 p.m., Jesus and team will be holding another webinar to go over this. And he would like to pass on a word of advice. And he says if you have grants that end at the end of this month, such as SSVF, it's a good idea to try to catch up on your data entry, because after September 28th, there will be new fields that show up in HMIS, and that will require you to enter new data or enter data in a slightly different way. So if you can catch up on all your record keeping before that, that would be ideal. But again, there will be more guidance given in the near future, and then there will be another session on this next Wednesday. So look for the invite for that. Okay, a quick little update on the 2016 point-in-time count. So right now, Lindsay Marsh, our data coordinator, she's actually at a conference in Houston. She's learning a lot about methods of counting youth who are experiencing homelessness, as well as other things. But she has been working on updating the survey instrument and is close to submitting it to the board for a vote. So that instrument should be updated soon, and there will likely be a few questions added that are dedicated to youth, and that's one of the reasons she's at that conference. But we're waiting some final words from the state on that to determine exactly how we will handle that. So that's one of the holdups there for this survey instrument. But we are getting started with some of the training and technical assistance, and Lindsay actually held her first point-in-time training in Beaumont yesterday, and she said it went great. We had a lot of people that showed up, and it looks like that community is going to do a great job with their point-in-time count. She will be asking CoC members soon to volunteer themselves as the community point-in-time leads. Every community needs to choose someone who will lead the project for that particular community. And ideally, this would be either an RPG member or someone that the RPG member selects or identifies. The RPG member being the representative that serves on the representative planning group for the CoC board. Okay. Any questions about the point-in-time count? That will be occurring this next January, on January 21st. Okay. So a quick update about the Coordinated Access Toolkit. Sophia Cheka, who is the lead for that project, reports that the Coordinated Entry Toolkit, and I'm sorry, I should have called it Coordinated Entry Toolkit, not Coordinated Access. HUD is now using the term Coordinated Entry for this process. The Coordinated Entry Toolkit is being developed, and the toolkit will help communities implement coordinated entry according to HUD and the Texas Balance of State Continuum of Care standards. She expects this will be released to communities in January. So hopefully you will see more about that very soon. Okay, I'm going to pause a little bit and see if anyone has asked any questions. Okay, looks like no questions so far. So, as many of you know, we have a big conference coming up in Corpus Christi during the middle of next month. So we have been preparing for that and working very hard to make sure that everything at that conference goes off without a hitch. So Jennifer Paulson, who is the lead for that, has given an update, and I put it in your handouts folder that you can access on your GoToWebinar toolbar. And it's not that. It should be this one. Okay. And here's a short update for those of you who are joining us. The conference will be October 14th through the 16th at the Omni Corpus Christi Hotel. I will say that that hotel is full or very near full. So folks who are registering and trying to work out travel arrangements may have to work with a nearby hotel. But we did check out the hotel where most people are staying, and it's I think it's the Emerald Hotel. We'll get the exact name to you via email. But that's a nice hotel, and it's relatively close to the Omni, so it should be pretty easy if you do stay there. We have over 360 people who have already registered. So we have a pretty big number of people that will be attending the conference already. And she has been finalizing the agenda. It looks like her agenda is nearly finalized. We have a lot of good workshops, some really knowledgeable presenters. So I think you'll gain a lot of information if you do attend. So if you haven't already decided to attend, please consider that. We would love to have you there. And I will send this to you. Like I said, this is in your handout box through your GoToWebinar tool. But I will send this to you. This just tells you some agenda items, the plan for the first couple of days, and just some tips. For example, our reception this year is a beach theme. So if you have a gaudy beach shirt, this will be your chance to wear that. That's what I plan on wearing. So come dressed for the occasion to that. Here's some information about the parking. And we're also going to work on a shuttle from that nearby hotel to the Omni for those who have to stay at the Emerald. It's the Emerald Beach Hotel. And she says they do have a courtesy shuttle between 7 and 10, but I think Omni we're going to look to see if they will provide a shuttle for certain times of the day, and we're really hoping that can happen. We toured the hotel yesterday with hotel staff, and it's looking great. Everything seems to be on target, so please join us. I think it'll be a great time. And Corpus Christi is always nice, of course. Who doesn't want to be looking at that in the middle of October? So please come and join us. And this is a picture from the parking garage. So that tells you how nice Corpus Christi is. So we hope to see you there. And when you are there, come up and say hi. And take the chance, if you are there, to take the chance to come up and meet the THN staff, because we have a lot of great folks here, and they need to put faces with names, and I think that would be good for you too. So any questions about the conference? Okay, no questions. So a quick update on the fiscal year 2015 CoC program competition. which I'm sure there's a lot of people on the call interested in. So finally last Friday, HUD announced that the fiscal year 2015 CoC program competition was open. So consequently, THN staff went to work and updated the request for proposals, which most importantly for any agency wishing to apply contains the updated timeline. And I will pull that up for you. So this is the RFP, and I'll just skip down to the timeline. So as you can see, if you represent an agency that will be applying for Continuum of Care funds, whether they be renewal funds or you will be applying for new funds, you do have a initial due date. So the date in which you submit your paperwork and all of your materials to Texas Homeless Network is October 16th. So we finally have a date, so you can work towards meeting that goal. Now, there's a lot more that goes into this process, and we are going to go over resources. We're going to provide you with resources and provide you with some training very soon so you can work on your grant and make sure that you submit the best grant possible. We are having a webinar on Friday, and it's at 10 a.m. and at that time we're going to go into this RFP. We're going to go into some of the other documents that we have in more depth, and we're going to provide you that initial training that you'll need to get started with this. There will be trainings after that, and there will be technical assistance offered when we are available to offer it. We do want you, if you are applying for this, we always want you to look at HUD's website, and we provide you links to that website through email or through our website, our THN website. And go to that THN website so you can use the links we have up there. Let me go ahead and pull that up and show you where everything is. Sorry, okay. So if you need to look for anything related to the grant, just go to resources, go to balance of state first, then scroll down to resources, click on that, and then it'll bring you to this page, and then at Texas Balance of State Continuum of Care grant materials, you'll find everything. You'll find the RFP that we were just looking at. You'll find other documents, the renewal project evaluation, application for new projects. You'll find webinars from last year, actually, that still may be helpful. We will update those as soon as we provide this year's training on these topics. And then you'll find other resources that you'll need if you are going to apply. So we'll send this website out. As a matter of fact, I'll send it out to everyone right now, the website address. But there will be a training. Again, there will be a training on Friday, and I'll send out the notice for that after this call as well. Any questions? Okay, let me send that website to everyone. Okay. So that is all we have for the CoC participation part. If you have a question about any of these items as we go through the agenda, don't hesitate to write the questions in, or again, ask me to unmute you so you can ask the question. And then again, after we finish we will provide a little bit of time for you to ask questions once we stop the recording. So, okay, item number 3, we have the Texas Homeless Youth Count Implementer Project. So, I don't have a lot of detail on this project right now. I thought I would when I created this agenda, but the grant has not started. The terms of the contract are not finalized. But what I will say is that TDHCA issued an RFP a few months ago, and it sought an applicant to serve as the project lead for this. And as is apparent from the title of this section, the project is focused on counting and surveying youth in the upcoming 2016 point-in-time count. What this RFP asked the grant recipient to do is to develop a standardized training curriculum to use this survey, and it focuses on the youth count portion of that. It asks the recipient to develop TA that will be provided to the communities within our continuums of care, and that includes the Texas Balance of State Continuum of Care and the other 10 continuums of care in the state. And then it asks for 2 final things. It asks the recipient to create data collection methodology and a system to collect and store data, and finally to produce a final report on this process, on the count process. There will be another round that will be really focused on the analysis of this data. So this round is focused just on the actual count. So obviously we are very interested at Texas Homeless Network in how this will work, and we want to be an important part of this project, and I think we will be, but it's not finalized yet, so we are a little up in the air about how this will work out. But we definitely will provide support to you and our Balance of State communities, and most likely we will be providing support to communities outside of the Balance of State as well. And as soon as we know something about this, and as soon as everything is finalized, we'll certainly let you know. But I really think it's great that the state is actually focusing on this group and really wanting us to get the best count possible of homeless youth, so that we have a good idea of the numbers we're dealing with, so we can start to actually address the issue of youth experiencing homelessness. And I'm sorry I don't have any more on that than what I just reported, but are there any questions about that? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let Mary talk about the representative planning group member selection. So Mary, I'm going to unmute you right now. Okay, you should be ready to go.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can, so go ahead.
Great. So, I'm sorry, I had to step away for a moment. Are you turning screen control over to me?
I am, I'm sorry.
Okay, there we go.
You should have it right now.
Okay. Well, I wanted to start with telling all of you about the RPG member selection process. Let me get this in a little bit of a different format. In response to a member request, we have put together a little presentation to kind of summarize the information we've been presenting over the past few months on what is a local homeless coalition, and what is the representative planning group, and what does it mean to have a representative on the representative planning group. So I'm going to run through these, and hopefully it will clarify a little bit for you. So again, what are local homeless coalitions and the representative planning group? Well, in our CoC governance structure that we are just now implementing, we are operating as a CoC under a governance charter that identifies what the structure is regarding authority, decision-making, and accountability. So kind of our guidebook for how we do the business of the CoC. It also outlines the organizational structure and general work of the CoC, and it describes the roles and responsibilities of the entities in the governance structure. And these are the entities in the governance structure. You'll see at the top is Texas BOS CoC general membership, or really anybody within the CoC that is working to prevent and end homelessness. We don't have any sort of general membership requirements, except if somebody attends a meeting, they're basically considered a member, or if they're on our mailing list or emailing list, they're a member. We also have the 11-member CoC board, the representative planning group, the CoC lead agency, which is us at THN, and HMIS lead agency, which is also us at THN, and then the RPG may have committees. So that's our overall structure, and I'll get into the details. How local homeless coalitions play into the CoC governance structure is that the local homeless coalitions, or LHCs, are the groups that plan and deliver homeless services, housing, and supportive services in communities. They have broad membership that includes a variety of stakeholders, and their goals are to prevent and end homelessness. So in your community, you might have something called a coalition or a consortium, or a group of people maybe who meet specifically to talk about mental health care, but they also have a committee that addresses homelessness. Or you might have some sort of homeless education type committee that would serve as a local homeless coalition in your community. So coalitions out in the balance of state that are working on the local level can really do what they do in whatever way they want to. But in order to be considered sort of an official local homeless coalition within the balance of state, there are a few requirements that the CoC board approved of earlier this summer, and they relate to holding meetings at least quarterly, planning for homeless and housing services and delivery, having a representative to the RPG, staying on top of data and performance, participating in the point-in-time count and the housing inventory update, and participating in coordinated access. Right now, we've got about 25 local homeless coalitions operating. You'll see there all the different colored groupings except for the gray. The gray are areas that are in other CoCs, not balance of state. But everything that's colored besides gray is a local homeless coalition. So we've got quite a few operating around the balance of state. So how those local homeless coalitions play into the representative planning group are that the representative planning group is the official committee on the, or body within the governance structure that specifically represents local communities. So your local homeless coalition in your area may have up to 2 representatives serving on the RPG. If one of your representatives has lived experience, that is they're currently or formerly homeless, then you may also have a second representative. So it's a great way for your community's voice to be heard in the decision-making structure of our CoC. And I know this is very tiny to see, but I wanted to show the whole picture. Uh-oh. Sorry about that. You'll see down this left side are the 25 local homeless coalitions. I wanted to show the diagram more than the words, because each one of these, again, can have 1 or 2 representatives that then make up the RPG. So what an RPG member will do is be the representative to participate in the meetings and basically serve as a liaison between the local homeless coalition and the CoC, ensuring information flow between the two entities. How are they selected? Well, your local homeless coalition may design whatever process you'd like. We just want it to be a standard process that you're going to use from time to time. And then that process must include a minimum taking a vote at an LHC meeting and having that vote recorded in the meeting minutes, just to make your official selection in your LHC's records. And then the terms of office, each term will be 1 year in length, and terms begin October 1st and end September 30th of the following year. And then your local homeless coalition may decide if there are any limits on the number of terms served. For example, if you want each term to be only 1 year and every person can only serve 1 term, that's fine. Or if you want to say a person may serve up to 2 terms or 3 terms, whatever your local homeless coalition decides. Then, once your LHC has selected your members, we want you to tell us who those are officially so that we know the roster of who are our RPG members. For this first year, you're going to certify that your local homeless coalition commits to meeting the minimum requirements of an LHC as approved by the CoC board. And then after that, we will be in a position where we're working with you throughout the year to know that you are, in fact, meeting those requirements. So in order to keep having a representative in future years, you'll have to just keep meeting the requirements. But for this first year, you haven't had a chance to meet the requirements, so we'll work with you over the next year to do so. So you don't have to hesitate now calling yourself a local homeless coalition if you haven't met all the requirements yet. We just want you to get there by the end of this fiscal year, which is next August. The representative planning groups will meet monthly and will include substantive discussion of topics pertinent to the CoC's work. The RPG might have committees, and then they will propose items for the CoC board's approval. There are also RPG members on the CoC board. Seats 1 through 5 of the board are designated to be filled by RPG members, and you'll see we had that diagram a moment ago where all the local homeless coalitions were on this left side feeding into the RPG. Well, then 5 members from the RPG will also be sitting on the CoC board. So if you would like to nominate your RPG member to not only be on the RPG, but to actually be on the CoC board, they can do that by nominating themselves or being nominated as a CoC board member. And I'll show you that website in just a moment. CoC board is the primary decision-making body for our CoC. They determine the policy direction and ensure that the CoC fulfills all its responsibilities, and they oversee and approve the work of all the other entities in the CoC governance structure. And again, here's a listing of those seat breakdowns. Seat 1 through 5 are going to be held by RPG members. Seats 6 through 11 are those that we need to have representation from that are more specific to persons with lived experience, which is seat 6. And then seats 7 through 11 7 through 10 are some of those homeless subpopulations that are really important to make sure we're capturing and representing in our governance structure. Victim services, specifically for domestic violence and sexual assault, veterans, physical health, medical health, or mental and behavioral health, homeless children and youth, even unaccompanied youth, and families also fall into that category. And then the last one, business or local government. Board members will comply with a code of conduct and with conflict of interest and recusal requirements. and we're trying to have broad representation on the board of this, across the CoC geography and again across the subpopulations. Board members are elected at the full membership meeting held in the fall of each year. There are staggered terms, and the terms are October 1st through September 30th of the following year. And if you want to know more, here's a link to our website or contact me. And again, we put this together hoping that you might be able to use it on your local level to help people better understand the local homeless coalitions and the RPG and the CoC board, and also to recruit members to run for those positions. So hopefully you will find that useful. And I will show you now on our website exactly where you can find this information that I just referenced. As Eric said, go to our website at thn.org, hover over Balance of State CoC, and this time you'll click on CoC Board. And here we go, a little bit of description about what the board is. You'll see the seat breakdown. There is our governance charter. If you want to read all the details about how we govern ourselves as a CoC. And then here's the section for board member elections resources and RPG selection resources. The responsibilities and nomination information if you would like to use that. Also, the certification form is attached to this, and that again is where you will let us know who your RPG member is. So let me just scroll to that. Congratulations, we have already gotten 2 LHCs who have submitted their RPG forms. The Homeless Issues Partnership from the Corpus Christi area and Southeast Texas Coalition for the Homeless from the Beaumont-Port Arthur area. So we've already got 4 RPG members identified. And what they did was filled out this form and sent it to us. So you list the name of your coalition and the name of your first representative. And if that person has lived experience, then you can have a second representative, put their information there. And then you will say the date of the meeting where that person or those people were selected and testify that the vote was recorded in the meeting minutes and a list of attendees and meeting minutes are being sent to THN with the certification form. We had hoped to have all of these by October 1st, but I know some of you have let us know that either your LHC isn't meeting before then or you're still recruiting candidates, or for whatever reason you might not make the October 1st deadline. What we would hope is that you try to, but if you can't, we need to have at least some time before our October 14th board meeting for RPG members to be selected and us know about them so that the outgoing board can select those 5 members that are going to serve on the CoC board. So, I know it's a little bit confusing.
Yeah, so Mary, that being said, I would like to ask everyone if their local homeless coalition plans to vote on someone to serve as their representative through the remainder of this month or early next month. So I am going to launch a quick poll. So over the next minute, take some time to let us know whether or not you're going to do that. And there is no right answer, and they're anonymous, so we're not going to virtually wag our finger at you if you say no. Mm-hmm. But Mary's right. We do need folks to sign up so we can move on to that next step, and that's filling that board. Sorry, go ahead, Mary. I didn't mean to stop you.
No, that's fine.
I mean, I did mean to stop you, but I didn't mean to break your concentration.
No, that's fine. That was actually the last thing I had planned to say about local homeless coalitions in the RPG. So unless someone has a question, I'll move on to board member selections.
And there are not questions about that. There are questions about the youth count, but I would like to address that after we talk about the board. So if you want to go ahead and move on, we'll leave the poll open for another half a minute or so. So please vote, please participate in the poll if you haven't already.
All right, great. So again, I'm back on our website on the CoC board page. Again, a little bit about the board membership at the top. And then fourth down is board member elections resources. Just above what we were looking at, RPG selection resources. Now let's move to board member elections, and I will show you again the diagram of the seats. 1 through 5 will be filled with RPG members, 6 through 11 with general members, and the RPG members are selected by the outgoing board, but you still need to nominate yourself as a board member. And seats 6 through 11, those are the ones that we will all be electing, or all the CoC members will be electing at the October 14th general membership meeting, just prior to our THN conference. So for seats 6 through 11, we are currently taking nominations, and we would love your help with, again, finding people who are really great at representing the designations for the seats. Persons with a lived experience, victim services, veterans, health, children and youth, and business or local government. So we want to make sure that we are, having that broad representation of expertise on the board and also geographic area. And then if you want to know more about what it would mean to be a board member and you'd like to recruit nominees, we've made this handout that explains what our selection process is, what the duties of being a CoC board member are. That's on page 2. Some minimum requirements, a little bit more about the selection process. We have, in fact, attached our code of conduct so people would understand exactly what they would need to abide by. And then the last page is a nomination form that you could use where people can fill in their information. We especially wanted to be able to ask them, how they meet the designation of the seat, why they want to serve on the board, and then they have the opportunity to submit any endorsements or letters of recommendation from a local homeless coalition, for example, from a member agency, from a local elected official, whomever they would like to submit a letter of recommendation from. So someone can fill out this form if they're nominating themselves or someone else and either submit it to me via email, or they can complete the WUFU survey, whose link is also on our website right here. Fill out this form to make a CoC board member nomination. So you can just click on that and you'll be taken to this form, which has the exact same information as the paper form. It's just this one allows you to do it all online and it gets submitted electronically, so you don't have to scan it or email it or fax it or anything like that. So we were trying to make this nomination and recruitment process as open and transparent as possible, because that's one of the focuses of HUD on CoCs doing their work, is that we want to make sure we're being inclusive and we're inviting anybody who might be interested in participating at all in the CoC's work, and especially serving on the board, because the board does have that decision-making authority. We want to make sure that the word is spread far and wide and that everyone has an opportunity to nominate themselves or be nominated by someone. So please spread the word that we are taking nominations. We had also set a deadline of those for October 1st, just to give us enough time as staff to create ballots and to verify any information that we might need to verify, so that we're ready to assist the members in taking a vote at that general membership meeting on October 14th.
So
So that is what I wanted to show you on an update for board members.
So real quickly, Mary, the poll results indicate that about 60% of those in attendance do plan on voting on a representative. So that's good news. We need you folks that are planning on doing that to also nominate someone for the board. I'll reiterate what Mary was saying. And so nominate someone from your local community if you think that they should be one of our board members. And also, if you have an idea of someone who would really fit either the seats 6 through 11 really well, say you know someone who's a great advocate for veterans, very knowledgeable about veterans programs, really should be on this board, and you may not even be friends with them, but you know that that person would be a great addition to this. Please, if you're not comfortable asking them to nominate themselves or nominating them, for them, ask us to call and tell us their name, and we'll give them a call and see if they might be interested. And we get that spot filled with those that are appropriate to fill that. So please help us with this recruitment process. So.
All right.
Okay, let me pass the screen back. And before I go on to the next item, which is actually the last item, I want to address some questions that have come up since I originally presented on the Youth Count Implementer project. Actually, before we do that, there is one question about the LHC. Okay, so the question is, and Mary, you might want to help me answer this. The question is, if our LHC meeting is not until after the October 14th general membership meeting, could we have a special online/email vote before that meeting and include the actions/results in the next meeting minutes? From what you read, do you think that that would be possible, Mary?
I think that would, I think if anything, if it's a special called meeting to take a vote or even an online vote, you could just make minutes for that call or meeting itself, even if it's not the official regularly scheduled meeting. If it's a special meeting specifically to take the vote, then that meeting could be the one where the minutes are taken.
Yeah, I agree. And I think a lot of boards, I know the Texas Homeless Network board, we have in our bylaws now that you can take votes in that manner if you need to. I think we should allow that. So yes, if you need to do that, you can.
Right, and I think certainly since this is our first time with this new governance structure, like we do with our people who need housing, we want to opt in. We want you all to opt into services, and we're going to have low barriers to entry into the CoC governance structure, because we do want to have as many groups participating as possible. And that was something actually I've been talking to a couple of you over the past few weeks about. If your coalition is just developing and you're not already meeting the requirements, I would just want to repeat that that is okay. We want you to get started and commit to working toward meeting all of those by the end of August of next year. And we will gladly do what we can to work with you on that.
Okay, great. So yes, please get those nominations in. So I went over the Youth Count Implementer project a little earlier in this meeting, and since then there have been a lot of questions written in about it. So I want to try to address some of those questions as best I can, and please understand that since the contract for that project is not finalized, there are some things I just I can't tell you because I honestly won't know the final answer until that contract is finalized. But there was a question about the definition of youth homelessness. So let me just pull up the RFP from that particular project, or for that particular project. And you will see, I think it's up now. Yes, it is. I want to make this a little bigger. So you'll see I have it highlighted that the project will use the definition of homeless youth that has been identified during the 84th legislative session. That definition, as you probably can imagine, the politicians got involved with that, and there's some legalese in that definition. But from the way we read it, that definition is very close to what HUD's definition of youth homelessness is. Now, that's a fairly strict definition, but that does include folks up to the age of 24. So, I mean, if you would have told me when I was 24 that I was a youth, I would have said no. But now that I'm 40, I'm going to say, yeah, that I was a youth then. So, so it does include kids that are up to 24. So it's expensive in that way, but it is restrictive in location of the person. So those kids that meet that independent school district definition of homelessness, not all of those will meet, the way I read the definition of the 84th legislative session's interpretation of the definition, not all of those will meet that definition. Now, that being said, I think whoever is working on this project will look at that number and will pull out that number to report that to the state. But that entity will most likely also look at data from the independent school districts. So we have a good overall picture of homelessness for advocates, for planners, and for our government officials. So I know that within the Texas Balance of State Continuum of Care point in time methodology, we open up the survey to a pretty wide group, and it includes homeless youth in both the HUD definition and the ISD definition. So I hope that answers some questions. Let me see if there's another question. I will say that there was a question about if we're working on it, if Texas Homeless Network is working on it, will the Texas Homeless Education Office be involved? And I'll say that whoever is working on this grant will involve an agency like the Texas Homeless Education Office, and obviously an agency like the Texas Network of Youth Services. So I know I'm probably not answering every question, but if there are more questions, please type those in, or tell me to unmute you, because I would be happy for someone else to talk for a while. Okay, so it looks like there are no additional questions. If you do have additional questions, please type those in as we move on. This RFP, I actually can send you this, so we'll also send you this as part of our meeting materials. Okay, so we are down to our last item, and that's next steps, and it's concerning the October general membership meeting. We have so far, let's see, 12 people who have RSVP'd. We hope to have a lot more. I did tour the room in which that meeting will be held yesterday, and it's a pretty big room, so I'm hoping we can fill it. So we need a lot more people to RSVP and come down and join us for that general membership meeting. If you're concerned about, your breakfast and lunch. Don't be if you join us for that meeting, because we're going to serve breakfast and lunch to you. So that's one big plus. Plus, you get to meet all of the THN, Texas Balance of State staff at that meeting. And in fact, I'm going to ask that that all of the staff stop in and say hi when they get a chance, because ultimately all of the staff will be working with you in one form or another over the course of the year. So those are two big pluses, I think, for joining us there. And we're really hoping that you will consider going once you receive one of our brand new spiffy postcard invitations that Caitlin Bear and Mary Dodson worked on, and I'll see if I can show you that. I think they did a really good job. And I'm hoping I said Caitlin's name right this time. Okay. Do you have anything to say, Mary, while I try to find this? I have a lot of things open on my computer.
Yeah. Year, all of our board meetings are open to our general members, but HUD asks that every CoC have two meetings per year that are specifically identified as general membership meetings, and to which we try to spread the word even further and wider than we do for regular CoC board meetings. And therefore, that's why we have this postcard. And yes, Caitlin on our staff was the expert who put this one together with some help from Jesus, I think. And so we also have had this backside of the postcard on our website for a couple of weeks, but you will be getting paper copies of it, and the coalition chair people will be getting packets of postcards that you can either mail on your local level or hand out on your local level. And even if you can't come to Corpus Christi, you can participate in the meeting, because we will also be making it available via webinar, like all of our other CoC board meetings have been. So one way or another, you have opportunities to join us.
But of course, we would like to see you in person if at all possible. But yes, please join us online if you can't join us in person. I think we'll start sending these out, well, maybe tomorrow. Hopefully you'll receive these by early next week at the latest. So once you get these, go ahead and RSVP and come down and join us.
Right, so in addition to meeting the THN staff, you'll see that on the agenda there is that we are going to announce the seats 1 through 5 of the CoC board, new board, that the outgoing board members will have selected by then. That's why we need to know who your RPG members are before then. People for seats 6 through 11 of the board. And those are going to be our main activities at this meeting.
You cut out for just a second, so what Mary said is we'll be voting on seats 6 through 11 at this meeting. Those in attendance and those that are joining us via webinar. And one more thing, later that day, if you sign up for that day, if you just apply to come for that day, you will have the opportunity to do this, come to our general membership meeting in the morning. Also in the afternoon, you'll have a chance to come to our Balance of State Continuum of Care workshop. And we really would encourage you to come to that and participate. We also need you to tell us what it is you want to go over at that workshop. So we do have a survey out for that. It would be good if I had that on hand right now. But we did send out a survey, I think, last week, and we will send one out again after this that asks you what topics you would like covered at that workshop later that afternoon.
So one point that we want to make sure everybody realizes is that the BOS CoC general membership meeting on the morning of the 14th, with the breakfast and the lunch included, there's no cost to attend that, and it's kind of a pre-conference session to the conference. So you can come have breakfast with us, join the meeting, have lunch with us, and if that's all you do, then you can just register for that meeting and you don't have to pay anything or do anything more. However, the actual conference starts that afternoon at 1 o'clock. And so if you want to join the conference or attend the conference, then that's a separate registration, and you can find that registration on our website. And the Balance of State workshop is part of the conference. So in order to participate in that afternoon session with us, you would need to register for the conference, either all 3 days of the conference, or there is a special one-day conference rate of $175. So we just want to make sure there are two different Balance of State CoC activities going on that day. One is kind of freestanding. The other one is actually a part of the conference. But if you have any questions about that, let one of us know and we can walk you through that in more detail if you need.
Thank you for that clarification. I'm going to send out the link to the survey so you can identify what topics you would like for us to go over. So you'll get that in your chat box. So if you get a chance, go ahead and fill that out and let us know what you want us to talk about, even if you're not going to be there. You're a CoC member, and your opinion will definitely help us in the creation of this. Sorry for that noise. Okay, I'm going to see if we have any questions. Go ahead and type in your question if you do have one. Actually, there's a question for you, Mary. And this is back to the LHC conversation. The question is,
Okay.
the question is, LHCs, in the description you said, LHCs are to plan and implement services. What does that mean? Does it mean directly serve people experiencing homelessness?
No, it does not mean that your LHC has to directly serve people. Just you're the planning body. Going back to the requirements for a local homeless coalition, it's that you strategically plan with partners in your community for the delivery of housing and services, but the coalition itself does not have to do the service delivery. I think, was that the crux of the question there?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Hopefully that answers your question.
Good clarification.
Right. And then there's another question about attendance, meeting attendance, but Ms. Rasmussen, I will get back to you on that offline. So are there any other questions before we end this meeting? This actually has gone for less time than I thought it would. Definitely less than 2 hours, so I'm sure everyone is happy about that. Okay, well, if there are no more questions, I'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting. So go ahead and get back to your busy days and enjoy the rest of your week. And I'll stay on for a few more minutes if you have questions that you'd like to address to us offline. So